Relationships and Higher Purpose, Chapter 12, Part 1 of 4, Establishing Relationships. As revealed to God's messenger, Marshall V. Summers, on January 1st, 1989, in Albany, New York. What is a relationship? Relationship is when two or more people come together to fulfill an inner and an outer need. Life is like climbing a mountain, and you cannot climb it alone. You will not find your way alone. You will not gain strength alone, and you will not learn to overcome the obstacles alone. You will need companionship. You will need companionship for encouragement, for discernment, and for the courage to identify and eliminate your obstacles. You need relationship to learn the way of knowledge. A relationship meets an inner need for development and an outer need for accomplishment. To establish a relationship simply to meet an inner need is insufficient because relationships are always geared towards accomplishment in the world. Recognition of another may meet an inner need, but a relationship is established in order to get things done. Therefore, it must have a worldly expression to become real and manifest. You may say everyone is already in relationship, and this, of course, is true. However, in meaningful terms, in terms of your experience in the world, it is what you can do with another person that will establish the depth, the power, and the meaning of your relationship. That is why you must recognize both your inner and outer needs and learn the discernment necessary to see if another is compatible in meeting these needs. This discernment cannot be done completely at the outset because a large part of your discovery in relationships comes through participation with others. Yet at the outset, certain qualities and features must be there. What are the criteria for a primary relationship? This, of course, varies with what this relationship is intended to be and what you yourself are looking for. A primary relationship means that you will be sharing a great deal of your thoughts, your activities, and even your physical body in certain cases. It is very important to realize that a primary relationship creates an opportunity for learning within both the mental and the physical environments. You do not learn in the spiritual environment because on the spiritual level, you do not need to learn anything. Here, spiritual development is only gauged in terms of how much your spiritual life can emanate through your mental and your physical life. A primary relationship establishes a unique mental and physical environment, which either support your spiritual emergence, hinder it, or deny it. Therefore, one of the first basic criteria is that the other person, your prospective partner, must share your desire for spiritual advancement and contribution in the world. This is one of the essential criteria, but it is not the only one. When people establish a relationship based only upon a shared sense of spiritual purpose or intention, their relationship will rarely stand. It will be prone to all kinds of practical difficulties. Often people who attempt a relationship with these criteria alone will tend to deny or overlook the obstacles because they are so relieved to have finally found someone who shares their sense of spiritual purpose and destiny. So be very clear here that spiritual purpose and destiny cannot be the only criteria for preparation. This is very important. In terms of finding a mate in life, you must be physically compatible. Even in relationships that do not have this intimate component, it is very important that physically you are able to participate together. This requires health, and it requires that your physical needs and your physical condition are in balance with one another. If someone is very sickly and the other person is healthy, this will limit their ability to participate with one another. Here it is not so important that you like the way the other person's body looks, but it will make a difference if the other person's self-maintenance and the way they present themselves physically is significantly different from your own. This may hinder your participation together. Your bodies must be compatible in their state of health, in their presentation, and even sometimes in their age. Next, you must share fundamental values. The way you go about doing things must be compatible with one another. That does not mean that you are exactly alike, but it does mean that you are not in glaring conflict with one another. As it has been said, opposites often attract. However, they rarely bond in the world of human relationships. People may have qualities that you do not possess and abilities that you have not cultivated, and these may be very compatible with yours. Here, differences can be very beneficial. However, sharp contrasts rarely allow you to join with another person meaningfully or for any length of time. Compatibility is very important. Your values concerning self-expression, money, health, career, and providership, even your worldview, must be in alignment with another. Again, there may be differences, and these differences can be very helpful. But if they are sharp contrasts, and these contrasts are based upon the nature and design of both you and the other person, this will limit your participation together. This can limit your ability to accomplish any task together. Therefore, do not think that shared spiritual interests are sufficient to establish a higher purpose in a relationship. Also, do not think that physical attractiveness or compatibility alone are sufficient to establish a real union with another. Do not think that shared values or behavior alone will be sufficient either. Remember, you have a spiritual, a mental, and a physical nature. All three must be recognized. Because you are functioning at all three levels, a meaningful relationship will need to work at all three levels. You may think from this that it might be very hard to establish higher purpose in a primary relationship, or that its possibility might be quite remote. This is actually true. In the course of your life, you will have very few meaningful primary relationships, and these will be very important in shaping your thoughts, your outer life, and your spiritual inclinations. That is why such great importance is placed upon your primary relationships in terms of being either an asset or a liability to your progress. This is why a great deal of discernment must be used in establishing and maintaining relationships with others. This is the real meaning of wisdom. Wisdom is learning how to do things. Knowledge is knowing what must be done. Knowledge is the source and goal of all learning, and wisdom is the mechanism for its accomplishment. Do not be discouraged, then, that genuine primary relationships are rare. It is important for you to know that they are not abundant. You cannot establish such a relationship with any person you want. The attempt to establish a primary relationship with anyone you want is the source of a great deal of waste and misappropriation of your time and energy. If someone is physically attractive to you and you feel very compatible with them on this basis, you may attempt to force your spiritual and mental nature into submission to this one need. You will find out painfully, over the course of time and through many difficult situations, that this relationship cannot be established. This can use up a great deal of your life and can generate enormous misery, resentment, and disappointment. Your decisions at the outset are most important. If you physically bond with another before you have established your relationship more fully, it will be very difficult to respond to knowledge and to utilize discernment in a meaningful way. That is why it is strongly recommended that you not become sexually involved with another until you have established your relationship more completely. You need to see if you and the other person are going in the same direction in life before you become bonded physically, because once you bond your physical bodies, it can be very hard to separate. Attachment will arise, and this will make it more difficult for you to objectively determine if a real relationship can actually be established with this person. Physical attraction between two people who are considering marriage is important, but it is not essential. What is essential on the physical level is that they are of a similar age, that they have a similar degree of vitality, and that they can actually carry forth activities in the world together. The compatibility of your minds is more important than the compatibility of your bodies. Your spiritual compatibility is the most important of all. Remember, the body serves the mind, and the mind serves the spirit in the true alignment of things. Here it takes wisdom to determine how important the body is in any engagement. The degree of its importance must be determined in different situations, depending upon the purpose of the relationship. Obviously, in a great friendship, physical attractiveness may not be important at all, but physical vitality is. For without physical vitality, you will not be able to do much together. It is important to make a distinction at this point. You yourself cannot establish your spiritual compatibility with another, because that is established by God. That is established according to your design and according to your spiritual family. You may love a person's mind, you may love a person's body, and you may feel that you can do wonderful things together. But if you are not going in the same direction spiritually, and if you are not in a similar stage of development, then your paths will diverge. Your sense of purpose, meaning, and direction will be different from one another. You cannot control this. You can control much of your thinking and behavior because these you can change to some degree. However, your spiritual direction is set. Most people are barely aware of their real spiritual direction, so what they think of as their ability to change their spiritual direction is only their ability to change their thinking about their spiritual direction. This is because in the spiritual realm, you have a destiny. In the mental realm, you have a process of growth and development. In the physical realm, you have a process of survival, growth, and development. If you can see all these things working together in harmony, you will then see the criteria you need for establishing a primary relationship. Even if your spiritual bond exists already, your thinking and your physical abilities must be compatible. Otherwise, you will experience recognition with another, but not a relationship. True recognition means that you may recognize someone as being bonded to you, but without a relationship, you cannot do anything together. Relationship in this world is about what you can do together. Ultimately, it is about contribution and service. When you are considering a primary relationship with another, see if your spiritual nature and purpose together are established already. This you cannot change, for you are either bonded or you are not. If you are not bonded, it means that your puzzle piece and their puzzle piece cannot fit together. If your pieces do not fit together, then you must see if you are mentally and physically compatible enough with each other to be in a relationship. A real relationship is not fully intact at the beginning. It is something that you establish stage by stage. A marriage takes many years to mature. A great friendship takes many years to cultivate. An important association in your career takes many years and experiences to become deep and meaningful. Trust must be earned. Events in life will shape your character. They will shape you mentally and physically. You must go through these experiences with others in order for you to build character. Here it is important to understand that there are no great individuals. There are only great relationships. A great relationship means that those involved have been able to transcend, to a certain degree, the littleness of their personal preferences in order to meet the true requirements of their lives. This means that the relationship reflects their knowledge beyond their preferences and their certainty beyond their desires. However, all these things must be seen correctly to be properly understood. People often confuse their preferences with their deeper needs. People will say, "Oh, I'm doing this because of knowledge," but they are really doing it because of their preferences in the matter. How can you tell the difference? You can tell the difference when you have experienced both your deeper needs and your preferences. The experience of knowledge is completely different from the experience of personal preference. It is constant. It is overpowering. It is complete. It is harmonious. It is completely certain, and it is without ambivalence. In contrast, personal preference is weak and wavering. It comes and it goes. It is beset by guilt, doubt, frustration, and conflict. You may feel ambivalent, conflicted, or doubtful about something you know, and you often will. But the experience of knowledge is 1,000 times more powerful than the experience of personal preference. It does not change. This is true even with the experience of addiction. Addiction is when personal preference takes the place of knowledge in a person's life and becomes a dominating factor. Without God, there is only addiction, for without God there are no real relationships. And what is addiction but a substitute for meaningful relationships? The only thing that can heal addiction is meaningful relationships, because addiction is a substitute for meaningful relationships. That is why knowledge is the only cure for addiction, because knowledge is the very essence of relationship. It establishes the purpose, meaning, and direction of all your meaningful relationships. Spiritual, mental, and physical compatibility must be sufficient in order for a primary relationship to be successfully established. The more you know about yourself spiritually, mentally, and physically, the more your criteria will be established. The more you learn to value knowledge within yourself, the more you will be committed to meeting these criteria and will not overlook them or deny them in order to have a preferred relationship with anyone. What are the essential elements of compatibility? The elements of compatibility have already been stated, but it is important to define this a little further. Spiritually, you must be going in the same direction. How do you know if you are going in the same direction? Your inner sense of orientation in life, your sense of destiny, and what you consider to be most valuable all emanate from the spiritual realm. They are experienced mentally and physically, but they emanate from knowledge if they are genuine. If you are tuned to another person and are looking at the other person objectively, allowing yourself to be observant of their thinking and behavior, you will be able to discern your spiritual compatibility, or the lack of it. People who feel a spiritual bond and compatibility often neglect such mundane things as money, physical appearance, providership, career, or all these things. As a result, their experience of relationship and their experience of love will be limited and short-lived. Love is the cause, but your experience of love will be the result of your compatibility in relationship. For a primary relationship to be complete, it must express itself through your physical, mental, and spiritual life. Now, at the outset, the complete understanding of these three aspects in relation to another person cannot be recognized, and many things will have to be demonstrated through time and through experience. But at the outset, a certain degree of compatibility in these three arenas must be recognized. Does this require a great deal of evaluation on your part? No. It only requires restraint, patience, looking objectively, and allowing your knowledge to guide you. Your knowledge does not deliberate. It does not compare. It does not say, well, I like this person more than that person. It does not judge people. It simply says yes or no, or it says nothing at all. How simple, then, is that which is profoundly wise? Knowledge is the great decision maker, and it makes decisions without condemnation and judgment. It says yes and no instead of right and wrong. Right and wrong are what you say in response to yes and no. Some things are right and some things are wrong for you. Ultimately, everyone knows what is right and wrong because everyone knows the difference between love and attack. That is not to say they realize what they know, express what they know, comprehend what they know, or demonstrate what they know. Yet it is known already. At the outset, certain things in a relationship must be recognized. You will know if you look and if you are open to seeing the truth. Here you must not confuse knowing with desire. Knowing is calm and clear. Desire is wanting and needing. It is very hard to see clearly in a state of desire because desire dominates and rules you. It is like having a fever. Whenever you experience this regarding anyone or anything, be very careful. Step back. This is a time to wait and to become objective. Relationship is meant to accomplish something in the world. It is a very practical expression of an inner need and an inner bond. Because it has a practical expression, it must be approached with a practical emphasis. Thus, in considering marriage with another, do not say, I love you. I cannot live without you. You are my everything. Instead, look and say, I feel great love for you. What can we do together? Are we going the same direction together? Can we live together for the rest of our lives? Can we work well together? Can we deal with suffering and disappointment together? If you learn about the other person's life, you will see what he or she has done in the past. Do not think that this person will do things differently with you. Perhaps he or she will improve or function more efficiently and more lovingly. Yet if you learn about the person, that will tell you what you need to know. That is why in approaching marriage, always approach slowly and carefully, and allow knowledge to direct you. Do not be driven by what you want, or you will be blind to your real needs, to the needs of the other person, and to the reality of your being together. In a real marriage, you will not be spending most of your time staring into each other's eyes and enjoying the experience of recognition. Most of your time will be spent doing things together. Very mundane things such as dealing with survival, career and providership, intimacy, health, money, possessions, children, and taking care of others. A lot of running around. Most of it will not seem very spiritual. If you are a little older and a little wiser, you may know enough not to rush into a relationship. Emotional pain from the past is there, holding you back. As a result, you wait and watch because you do not want to repeat the same mistakes. You do not want to go frolicking down a blind alley and hope that everything will work out because you love each other so much.